What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Line of the Stars. I'm Jordan, and we're back today with another episode of the Fanhome Enterprise from Eagle Moss. And we are quickly getting towards a major milestone. And I know what I said in the last episode. I know, I get it. But it really is kind of a big milestone. This section, these three packs that we're about to assemble here, 49, 50, and 51, represent three of the final five of the hull panels for the very top of the saucer section. And to me, finishing up the saucer section on the top half of it, moving on to the bottom half where it's kind of a little bit of a different build, is a bit of a big deal. But, of course, we're not going to be able to start working on that until we get a couple of big mods taken care of. And so, with that being said, it's time, my friends. Let's go ahead and get all these panels assembled as we quickly march on towards finishing up the top of the saucer. So, today we start with stage 49, and really, it's kind of an interesting build here. We normally assemble a whole panel and then put it on the ship, and then we assemble a whole panel and then we put it on the ship, and then, so on and so forth. This stage, well, these three stages actually have us completing 49, 50, and 51, and then in 51, putting all these together and then getting them onto the hulls. So we're not going to see the top of the saucer section until the very end of this episode. Let's go ahead and get on to stage 49, shall we? Let's get to building. All right, so here is stage 49, which is pretty cool also as well. Like stage 50, there's only 130 of these stages. So, that's kind of a big deal. So let's go ahead and get this open up the rest of the way. Be careful not to cut our LED. Go and set our knife off to the side here. Let's go ahead and just dump everything out. And a lot of this we're not going to be using today. Make sure we got everything out of there. As we're not going to be using these windows, as I always do love saying. And we're also not doing any work for the stock nacelles on our model. And so that's kind of like the thing. Like we're kind of crashing through a lot of this stuff because we're going to have to do several major mods here in the coming episodes, including the bridge and the nacelle mods. So, it's one of those things where I just delight in setting things off to the side that we just don't need. And as a reminder, of course, I am going to be following along with, right here. Let me touch it there. I made it weird. MyEnterpriseD.com. Todd does an amazing job of going through and getting all of these stages laid out in such a way that actually makes some sort of sense. So as we go on and move through to the next stage, it's going to be fairly quick. I'm going to be skipping over a lot of the work that's going to be done at the beginning of the stage. And as a reminder, I've already done a bunch of work and got my windows all resined up. And we also got our escape pods put into place. Now, this panel, I don't know how I got away with it, but this panel has really gone through the ringer. I managed to bring it back to life, but the resining did not go so well here. So now, up here in this corner, you can see that those two windows, they look okay. Get a little bit closer, and you can see upon inspection there, the line in between looks a little funny, and I'll tell you why. And it's because I got these windows wrong, and, well, not wrong. The resin didn't turn out well, and it got a big bubble in it. So I was going through the process of punching it out and wound up just punching out the whole thing and taking the center section with it. So I wound up actually able to fix this problem. And I used that just using the administrative gray. And for whatever reason, right here, and you can see kind of in the Aztecing, there's a little bit of a gray splotch there. And that's because the UV resin tape pulled up some of the paint. And I think it was just an imperfection in the paint because it's not done that before, but it was something. So yeah, this panel has gone through the ringer, and in the coming episodes, you're going to see another panel that's gone a little bit through the ringer because I was going through doing some experimenting as the model has changed a little bit over time since Todd has built the model. So we'll talk about that in the next episode as I do some work on that one. So here is our panel. It's all ready to go. I've already light blocked and done all my painting of the windows. We got a couple turquoise and then one yellow panel there. And then very simply, very simply, it is a very simple stage. We're not going to be doing too much. We're literally going to be putting on the reflector. So I'm going to grab my BP screws and get them out here. And really, I can just probably drop them onto the ground, as I'm going to be just using these ones for right now. But I'm going to go ahead and set my BP tag right there. And what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and spread out our LEDs. Then we're going to go and get them put into place. And it's likely we're going to have to remove, there's some LEDs that we're going to have to remove in order to get this to work properly when we get to the actual assembly. But for right now, we can go ahead and just go ahead and get assembled. So I'm going to go ahead and take my panel, put it over the top, just like so. There we are. Get it clipped into place. And then what I'm going to do is just go ahead and secure this in place with 3 BP screws. Actually, 2 BP screws. Not even following the instructions right now. I'm just kind of going. But if you've built this model, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This I can infer because I've done this maybe a bunch of times already. So now, as you can see here, we have an LED recess that we need to go ahead and bend up. So we're going to go ahead and bend up on that now. And then I believe, let's just go ahead and scroll down to the end of the instructions. That completes stage 49. Let's go ahead and move on to stage 50 and basically do the same thing again. All right, so here's stage 50. Let's go ahead and get the rest of the package opened. And there are some parts here. Like I said, I'm not going to be using any of the parts for the nacelles, but I may have to incorporate, as this mod is mine, we may need to use some of the stock parts. So I'm going to be keeping everything. But as a reminder, I'm going to go ahead and make these available for anybody that might need them on Facebook for just the cost of shipping. I will also get it up on a site that we will talking about here in the coming weeks. So yeah, there's going to be some options there for you. So there's going to be a diffuser inside. And this is a little different than what I've seen some other people have. People have seen just have a clear piece. This one is actually diffused and sits in the end. And this actually sits at the end of the nacelle to get basically the effect of the light going around the edge of the nacelle there. So I'm going to go ahead and set this piece off to the side. And then as we get all the rest of our pieces out, we're really not going to be doing a whole lot, as I mentioned. Let's go ahead and get these windows that I don't need to do anything with. And I will also be making these available for any crazy person that might want them. I don't know why you would. But let's go ahead and get some of our BP screws out. And we're going to go ahead and just get them right onto the table because we're not going to be using them any other type today for at least right now. So we got our BP screws down. And we have a reflector here. We have our escape pod covers. And then what I did for my window pattern is I went light on the outside and then right in the middle, I went ahead and just went all dark because the reflectors go, or the LEDs plug in right here. And oof, don't want to have that giant hot spot sitting right in the middle of it. So I've kind of like had to tailor it. It's going to, like I said, it's a different day than the day they shot all the glory shots of the Enterprise, right? So that's what I'm going to say. And once again, stage 50 would be normally a lot of work, but of course, we're not going to be doing a lot of that work right now because that's going to be work that was done on the nacelle. All right, so let's go ahead and get our reflector put down into place. And for this one, it is a bit of a strange connection. So let's go ahead and just make sure I'm getting this right. Yes, just like this. No, just like this. Some of these are a little strange. No, I actually have that wrong. There we go. I remember this on the other side. It was also a very strange connection. So let's make sure I'm getting. There we go. A little dyslexic, I hate to say it, but that's how the reflector goes into place. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take one of our LEDs, and I'll just go ahead and follow along with Todd's instructions, and I'll grab the yellow and black, and we will just fit this down into place. Clip it down, make sure it's all secured in. And then we're going to go ahead and secure this in place with 3 BP screws. And we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. All right, so this last one was a little bit of a pain, and I'm not quite sure why. So I went ahead and just went up the size of screw. So I used 2 BP and then 1 CP right up in front. So let's go ahead and get our BPs off to the side. That was a bit of a funny fit, and I'm not quite sure why, as I just referenced. A little strange. But there that panel is. So let's go ahead and scroll down to the end of the stage, and once again, here we are, another finished stage. Stage 50 is complete. Let's go ahead and finish off stage 51 by doing the actual work of this episode. All right, so here is stage 51, and there's a lot of parts in here, and a very important one, as here is the inner frame for the nacelle, something that we might be a little familiar with. I'm going to take a look at it as I am fascinated, but I don't know how much of this I'm going to be using, so once again, I'm going to be setting all the stuff off to the side for the nacelles, and then we're going to go ahead and decide how we're going to approach it. I'm sure I'm going to be following along exactly with how Todd did it, but with a 3D printer these days, I might be able to change it up. So, let's go ahead and get our package opened up real fast. And looks like we have some CP screws in here finally. So something a little bit different. And some BM screws as we're finally going to be going ahead and getting all of our parts assembled today. So let's just go ahead and drop everything out. Careful with our die cast piece here, of course. This is one of our 2-prong, one of our 1.25 millimeter JST connectors. We have our BM screws. We have some DM screws as well. Here are our CPs. We're going to get the BP and the CP together. Let's go ahead and put our BMs there. Here's our frame for the inner part of the nacelle. And like I said in the coming episodes, it's probably going to be about 3 weeks away or so. The first mod that I'm going to be doing is, would you believe, the nacelles. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and set this off to the side. And then here is our whole panel. And once again, it's already been done up. All black windows for this one, and it works out. Here's how that looks from behind. Very simple and easy approach. So we're going to go ahead and set this off to the side there. And then some windows that we don't need, along with some DM screws. So, set off the side of the windows. I love that. And get our DM and rest of our screws open. So, I have our 3-in-1 oil. As a reminder, anytime you're using a DM or an EM, FM, or whatever M screw, you're going to want to go ahead for this model, go into 3-in-1 oil, as it helps ease the screws in if there's any sort of overspray or something like that. It does nothing for the model other than just making sure that it's easy for you to assemble. So we have our BM and our DM screws and our CP screws. Ooh, that was close. Going to get our knife put off to the side. We don't need it anymore today. And get our CP down. Okay. All right. So first things first, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and flip this over. And then we're going to grab the whole panel that we built in the first part of this episode, the one that I really butchered. And we're going to go ahead and set this down right over the top of this panel. There's going to be 2, and I see that I got a little bit of tape sitting over the top of that. So let's just go and get that tape off to the side a little bit. But there's going to be 2 lugs right here, 1 and 2. That is going to match up 1 and 2. Let's go right into place right here. Now we're going to go ahead and slide the 1.25 millimeter LED. We're going to go ahead and slot it into its home, which is going to be right there. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and screw this down with 2 DM screws. Let's go ahead and grab our DMs, set them down on the table. Go into our oil. DM screw is a flange screw. There we are. I'm not going to screw it all the way down. I'm going to wait till I get both of my screws put in place. There we are. Now I'm tighten this one down. Go back to the other side. Tighten that one down. And then just kind of go back and forth a little bit until the both are not moving on their own, not applying too much pressure. So there's that panel all put together. That looks pretty cool, actually. That went together really well. Very pleased with that. All right. So now what we need to do is we need to take this LED and we need to bend it and move it up this way. We don't want this getting caught in between these two hull panels right there. So we're going to bend that and move that up in that direction. Then we're going to go ahead and grab the hull panel that we just created in the last stage, and we're going to go ahead and fit it over right here, over these two lugs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this LED out of the way and route it in between those two posts right here. Then we're going to make sure that this panel sits over the top of this one. So it's a process of sliding over the top and into place just like that. So once again, when I put it in, you'll see a bit of like a flange itself. You're going to slot this in. Got it right the first time, and then push it into place just like that. Then we're going to go ahead and use 2 more DM screws. Get these out on our table. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and go 1 and 2. Set that down now. And before we fully tighten down, make sure, just double check to make sure that our panel is sitting in there properly, tucked in snug. Now I'm going to hold it in place just like that, and then give it a full tighten down. And I'm going to try to tighten it all the way down right now. Just like that. And there we go. Well, that's really cool. I do have to say. Make sure all of our LEDs are still in place. That's bent up. That's through there. There we go. This is also going to be the LED for our impulse engine, which is pretty cool, as this is a familiar panel because this is where the saucer impulse engine goes. Okay, so in reading through here, we're going to need to do is go ahead and remove this, these 2 screws right here. Got our BP off here. The reason for that is we need to remove that LED. I'm just going to loosen this flange. We're going to remove this LED. There we go. Get that out. Then let's go ahead and grab our saucer section. Exciting. I always love grabbing this thing. Soon it's going to be almost impossible to grab. So here we are. And then I've also done the genius thing, and I have my power source all routed up this way, and I can actually pull it up, and we're ready to light up when we need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and flip the saucer over. And it's likely I'm going to need to go through and do some tightening up of some of these screws. I imagine that the bending and flexing, I'm going to go ahead and just test a couple. Yeah. All the ones that are on the frames, I'm going to need to go through and tighten up a little bit, as all the movement has kind of loosened some of these up a little bit. And we will do that, of course, as we finish up. I don't want to do that right now, but I just wanted to test because it kind of felt a little weak in some spots. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab... Wow, there's so many LEDs here. All right. So I just went through my instructions just to make sure I knew what I was doing. Go and get in frame a little bit. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to run our wires up through this hole right there. And then we're going to get that LED. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move down that LED through this slot, hook it back up into place, and let's go ahead and get our screws put back in. Let's make sure that the LED is fully seated. There we go. Grab one of our BP screws. Oop. Oop. Trying to be smooth and efficient here, but it's not working. There we go. And let's go ahead and tighten up our DM screw over here. There we go. Excellent. And then these LEDs will also come up through this panel here, making sure to get the loose LED for the impulse engine up and out of the way. We have to pay attention to a couple of things here. When we get this assembled, this tab right here, and you'll see it right there, and it's kind of hard to pull in, so let me go ahead and zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. This tab right here needs to clip into this while simultaneously moving in at an angle. Bend our LED up. And then it's going to take a little bit of force and pushing to get our model lined up into its mounting lugs and making sure. So I see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and loosen the screws of this panel, and I believe it's just these two right up here. Is that correct? Let's see if I can do that without loosening the screws. Todd had to do it, so it's likely that I'm going to have to do it too. Yeah, oh, nope. There we go. Wow. Wow. How's that going? Wow, okay. So I'm going to start screwing in right here. Now that that's holding place. And I'm going to go ahead and use 6 BM screws. And so let's just go ahead and dump all these out here. I don't want to try to be particular. Get into our oil. Almost. This one tightened. Excellent. And noticing that this screw is not put in place. If you guys happen to see any screws that are missing, and I know it's going to be kind of hard to catch, but if you guys happen to see any screws that are missing, please let me know. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and go through. Get these most of the way tight. This is a very tricky panel, and I got kind of lucky with the fitment. Todd remarks in his comments on this stage that this is a bit of a pain in the butt. And I didn't have the pain in the butt problem, which is kind of nice. I'll always count that as a win. His model is also a little bit older than mine. Mine's probably one of the newer editions of the same old crappy model. I say that. I actually really love this thing. I can't wait till it's going to be done, though. I really can't wait to see how all it's going to turn out. There's going to be so much work and so many mods and so many cool things that we're doing. So, and we have one more screw to put into place, and then we'll go through and torque them all down, and then we'll flip it over and see how it turned out, and then we'll get everything plugged in and see where we're looking like. I'll quickly turn this over real fast. Oh, yeah. No, we're great. That fits. That's lovely. There we are. Wow. There's only one more panel to put into place right here before we put the big boy on right below there where the Arboretum's at. So let's go ahead and get all of our screws torqued down now. All right, that turned out wonderful. So now we have a few things to route through here. We're going to go ahead and leave this LED stretched out. And let's grab our plugs. Those are not the plugs that you're looking for, sir. And on PCB2, which is going to be right here, we're going to go ahead and plug in the 3 LEDs that we just ran through. So we have the 2 pin and then the 2 4 pins. They are going to go ahead and get plugged in down here towards the very end, the two 2-pin or two 4-pins. There we go. And then the 2-pin is going to go ahead and head over to this port right here. Excellent. Our LED, loose LED right here. Let's get all of our wires settled down into the channel. I'm just going to loosely set them there for right now. And I'm going to wait to go ahead and bunch these up until we have all of our wires together. Now I say that, this is driving me a little nuts. And I'm thinking, maybe don't do that. Now that, my friends, is a question for the next episode. Because I need to see where all these wires are going to be coming into play. All right, so there we are. Let's go ahead and power up and see how it turned out. All right, we're powered up. Let's go ahead and flip it over. And there is our panel. There's not a whole lot of lights that are actually getting lit up. We're only getting a little bit here and there. There's still another bit of a reflector we're going to have over here, but that's totally fine. Yeah, our lights right there. And all right, so here we are. Now, we only have one more panel, the matching panel for this side. We're right over here for regular panels we're going to be putting on the top. And then we have the big panel, the largest panel that we've put on to date with the Arboretum. That's going to be going down here on the bottom. That's all before we put the bridge on and decks 1 and 2 along with the main shuttle bay. Now, that being said, there's going to be some work getting done before we get to putting that bridge on, and we're going to be probably collecting another package or so before we go ahead and move on to that portion of it. So we are up to the penultimate final panels. Like, I don't know what to say about that, but we are getting really close, my friends, to having this all finished up here along the top so we can start working on a new part of the model, which I'm really excited of because I got to be honest, like, we've been just building these for a while and I can't wait to see how the lower portion is built. I haven't looked ahead because I want to be a little bit surprised, even though I can look ahead and see the whole build on myenterprisedee.com. So that's what I got for you guys today, and I just want to say thank you. I know that there was a million things y'all could have done today. Instead, you spent a couple minutes with me watching me build a model, and I think that's pretty damn cool. If you guys have any questions or comments, tips, tricks, please leave them down below. Like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And my friends, until we see each other again, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world where we happen to be. And just remember, my friends, to always live long, prosper.